The cost of forgiving the unforgivable is a concept that cuts deep into the human soul. It challenges the very core of our beliefs, our values, and our emotional strength. Forgiveness is often seen as a beautiful and transformative act, but there is an underlying cost that comes with it, especially when the offense is severe, when the wound runs deep, or when the betrayal feels irredeemable. It's not just about offering the gift of forgiveness, it's about understanding the price you may have to pay in the process. Forgiving the unforgivable requires an immense level of emotional maturity and inner strength. It asks you to face your pain head-on and confront the raw feelings of anger, resentment, betrayal, and hurt that have built up over time. These emotions are not easily dismissed. They don't fade away with a simple shift in perspective or a change of heart. Instead, they persist, demanding your attention, testing your will, and pushing you to decide whether or not you can truly release them. When you forgive someone who has wronged you deeply, you're not just letting go of the offense, you are letting go of the emotional weight that has been dragging you down, often for much longer than the incident itself. One of the most difficult parts of forgiving the unforgivable is the impact it has on your sense of justice. When someone harms you in ways that seem impossible to understand or accept, it can feel like your moral compass is being tested. How can you forgive someone who has caused you so much pain? How can you let go of the wrong that has been done to you when the very nature of that wrong feels so unjust, so disproportionate, or so unfair? The cost of forgiveness here is the surrendering of your need for justice and retribution. It's the act of choosing peace over vengeance, healing over anger, and moving forward rather than staying trapped in the cycle of bitterness. It's about relinquishing your desire to see the person who wronged you suffer and instead focusing on your own emotional freedom. Forgiving the unforgivable is also a journey of self-discovery. It forces you to examine your own capacity for compassion, empathy, and understanding, even when those qualities seem impossible to muster. The cost of this kind of forgiveness is not just emotional, it can also be psychological. The act of forgiveness often requires you to reframe your understanding of the offense and the person who committed it. It asks you to wrestle with the notion of whether people are inherently bad or if their actions are the result of their own pain, fears, or brokenness. It challenges you to see them not just as the person who wronged you, but as a human being who, perhaps like you, is capable of growth, redemption, and change. This mental and emotional recalibration can be draining and confusing, but it can also be incredibly liberating. However, the cost of forgiving the unforgivable can also come with a deep sense of loss. When someone has wronged you in a way that feels irreparable, forgiving them doesn't always mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean that things will go back to the way they were before the betrayal. In many cases, it means acknowledging that your relationship with that person will never be the same. The cost is the emotional distance that may permanently exist between you and the person who hurt you. Forgiving doesn't necessarily mean forgetting, and it doesn't erase the scar that the offense may have left on your heart. It simply means you're choosing not to let that scar dictate your future. You're deciding to free yourself from the hold that the offense has over your life. Another significant cost is the vulnerability that comes with forgiveness. When you forgive someone who has deeply hurt you, you open yourself up to the possibility of being hurt again. There's a risk involved in putting your trust back into a situation or a person who has shown you their ability to betray that trust. This risk can feel terrifying, especially if the offense was something that rocked the foundation of your identity or your sense of safety. Forgiveness requires you to be vulnerable, to allow yourself to believe in the possibility of change, to offer grace where there may be none, and to step into a space where you may not be fully protected. It's an emotional gamble, one that asks you to believe that the potential for healing and peace outweighs the risk of further harm. At the same time, forgiving the unforgivable is an act of emotional release and liberation. It can be the key to unlocking your own personal growth and healing. The cost, in many ways, is not something you pay in terms of suffering, but in terms of growth. The release of anger and resentment frees up emotional space for love, peace, and understanding. It allows you to move forward in a way that no longer anchors you to the past. It may even open the door to a deeper sense of inner peace, where you no longer define your life by the pain someone else caused you. It gives you the power to create a future that is shaped by your choices, not by the actions of someone who wronged you. Ultimately, the cost of forgiving the unforgivable is one that cannot be measured in a simple transaction. It's not about giving something up and receiving something in return. It's about the willingness to embrace a process that will require your emotional strength, your clarity of mind, and your deep, unshakable belief in your ability to heal. Forgiveness is a personal journey that doesn't always make sense to others, and it certainly doesn't make it easy. But the power of forgiveness lies not in the absolution of the other person, but in your ability to free yourself from the chains of resentment, to reclaim your peace, and to live a life where your past no longer holds you hostage. The cost, though steep, is the gift of emotional freedom, resilience, and the ability to move forward without the weight of the past dragging you down. Moving forward without regret is one of the most liberating choices you can make in your life. It's a decision that demands you take full ownership of your past, your actions, and the lessons learned from the mistakes you've made. When you choose to move forward without regret, you are freeing yourself from the emotional burden that often accompanies the weight of what could have been or what should have happened. This process is not about erasing the past or denying the reality of the experiences you've had. It's about accepting them, understanding them, and using them as fuel to drive you toward a brighter future. Regret is a powerful emotion. It can consume you, leaving you stuck in a cycle of self-blame, second-guessing, and despair. It can rob you of your peace, your confidence, and your ability to move forward. But regret also comes from a place of reflection, looking back and wishing things had been different, hoping you made different choices, or longing for a different outcome. It's a natural part of being human, but it's also an emotion that can hold you hostage if you let it. The key to moving forward without regret is learning to release it and understanding that the past cannot be changed. Once you accept that, you can begin to focus on what you can control, your present and your future. One of the first steps in moving forward without regret is taking full responsibility for your actions, both good and bad. It's about acknowledging the decisions you made and the consequences that follow. This doesn't mean beating yourself up for your mistakes or failures, but rather accepting them as part of your personal growth. Every choice you made, whether right or wrong, shaped who you are today. Those experiences gave you invaluable lessons, insight, and wisdom. By taking ownership of your decisions, you also take control of your narrative. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the creator of your own destiny. Letting go of regret also requires you to shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on the pain of the past or the what-ifs, focus on the possibilities that lie ahead. Every single day is a new opportunity to take action, to do better, and to move closer to the person you want to become. When you focus on what's possible instead of what's lost, you open yourself up to new experiences, new lessons, and new chances to grow. The future is where your energy should be directed, not the past. When you're focused on your next step, you begin to realize that regret has no place in your life. It becomes a distant memory that no longer controls your actions or your mindset. Another crucial aspect of moving forward without regret is forgiveness. This applies not only to others, but also to yourself. Forgiving yourself for your mistakes, your misjudgments, and your shortcomings is essential for healing. We often carry around guilt and shame for the things we wish we had done differently, but that guilt only weighs us down and prevents us from progressing. To move forward, you must let go of that guilt, forgive yourself, and accept that you are human. Everyone makes mistakes, but what defines you is not the mistakes themselves, but how you respond to them and how you choose to grow from them. A huge part of releasing regret is reframing your perspective on failure. Too often we see failure as something to be ashamed of or as a mark of our inadequacy. But failure is an essential part of growth. It teaches us resilience, perseverance, and what we truly want in life. When you see failure as an opportunity to learn rather than something to regret, it shifts your entire approach to life. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about embracing it and using it as a stepping stone to success. Moving forward without regret means accepting that failure is not the end, but rather the beginning of a new chapter. Moving forward also involves taking action even when you don't feel ready. It's easy to get paralyzed by indecision or fear of making the same mistakes again. But you must learn to trust yourself and your ability to navigate the unknown. The truth is that you will never be 100% prepared for everything life throws your way. There will always be uncertainties and challenges, but that's where growth happens. Taking action, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky, is what propels you forward. It allows you to build momentum and confidence in yourself, reminding you that you have the strength to overcome anything. Part of moving forward without regret is letting go of the need for external validation. We often seek approval from others or measure our worth by their opinions, but this only keeps us tied to the past. The moment you stop seeking validation from others is the moment you begin to live for yourself. Your worth is not determined by someone else's perspective or approval. It's determined by how you view yourself and how you show up in the world. Moving forward without regret means trusting in your own abilities, strengths, and decisions, regardless of what anyone else thinks. A crucial factor in moving forward without regret is practicing self-compassion. Be kind to yourself during moments of struggle, failure, or confusion. We often extend more compassion to others than we do to ourselves, but you deserve that same kindness. Moving forward means giving yourself the grace to make mistakes and to learn from them without being overly critical. The more compassionate you are toward yourself, the easier it becomes to let go of regret and embrace the journey ahead. Lastly, moving forward without regret requires having a vision for your future. When you have a clear sense of direction, your focus shifts from the mistakes and regrets of the past to the possibilities and opportunities of the future. Create a vision for your life that excites you, that drives you, and that gives you purpose. Your vision becomes the guiding light that helps you navigate through difficult times and reminds you that there's so much more to life than the past. When you move forward without regret, you take full control of your life. You stop allowing past mistakes, missed opportunities, or regrets to define your future. You take the lessons from your past, apply them to your present, and use them to fuel your growth. It's not about forgetting the past or erasing the pain. It's about choosing to live fully in the present while embracing the future with hope and possibility. It's about stepping into your power and recognizing that every step you take forward is a step toward the person you are becoming. Let go of regret. Embrace the journey and keep moving forward with faith and confidence. Intentional damage is never an accident. It is a deliberate act, a conscious decision made with full awareness of the harm it will cause. It stems from a place of disregard where someone prioritizes their own needs, desires, or ego over your well-being. When someone chooses to hurt you intentionally, they are revealing their true nature, one that lacks empathy, respect, and care. This is not a misstep or a lapse in judgment, but a calculated move, often done with the expectation that you will tolerate it or excuse it. When we frame intentional harm as a mistake, we rob ourselves of the clarity we need to see the situation for what it is. Mistakes happen in the absence of intent, where there is room for understanding and growth. But when someone intentionally damages you, they cross a line that should never be ignored or minimized. They have shown you that they are willing to sacrifice your trust, peace, and emotional safety for their own gain. Recognizing intentional damage as a choice is crucial because it empowers you to respond with the strength and resolve the situation demands. It forces you to confront the reality that someone you cared for has acted with malice, and it removes any illusion that their actions were unintentional. This awareness is painful, yes, but it is also liberating. It allows you to draw boundaries, protect your worth, and refuse to accept anything less than the respect and care you deserve. Excusing intentional harm or brushing it off as a momentary lapse only perpetuates the cycle of hurt. It creates space for repeated offenses and sends the message that your feelings, your boundaries, and your self-worth are negotiable. But when you acknowledge the gravity of their choice, you reclaim your power. You remind yourself that you are not obligated to endure disrespect or malice, no matter the circumstances or history. Understanding that intentional damage is a choice compels you to prioritize yourself. It demands that you hold people accountable for their actions and make decisions that honor your dignity and peace. This recognition doesn't just protect you from further harm, it also serves as a powerful reminder of your strength and resilience in the face of betrayal. Your value is intrinsic, unshakable, and not up for debate. It is not defined by the opinions of others, the validation they offer, or the way they choose to treat you. Your worth exists independently of external circumstances. It is rooted in who you are, your character, your strength, and your unique contributions to the world. No one has the right to diminish or undermine it, and it is not something that can be taken away by rejection, neglect, or mistreatment. When someone fails to recognize your value, it is not a reflection of you, it is a reflection of them, their inability to see the worth standing before them. Allowing others to question your value or treat it as conditional is a disservice to yourself and all that you bring to the table. You are not here to beg for respect, love, or acknowledgement. These are the basic foundations of any meaningful relationship, and if someone cannot provide them, they do not deserve a place in your life. Your value is not tied to how much you can do for someone else, how perfectly you fit into their expectations, or how well you accommodate their needs. It is not a currency to be bartered with or a tool for negotiation. Your value is simply who you are, unapologetically and authentically. You do not need to shrink yourself, prove yourself, or compromise your dignity to convince others of what you already know to be true. When you accept that your value is non-negotiable, you empower yourself to set boundaries that protect your peace, your energy, and your self-respect. You stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or half-hearted efforts from anyone who seeks to undermine your worth. Instead, you align yourself with people who uplift, appreciate, and cherish you for all that you are, those who see your value without needing to be reminded or convinced. Understanding that your value is non-negotiable also shifts your focus inward. It encourages you to nurture your growth, invest in your dreams, and prioritize your well-being without guilt or hesitation. You no longer measure your worth by external factors, but by the fulfillment and purpose you cultivate within yourself. You stand firm in your truth, knowing that your value does not waver, regardless of who acknowledges it or who fails to see it. Patterns don't lie. They are the silent narrators of our lives, speaking louder than words and revealing truths that may be uncomfortable, but are always undeniable. Patterns are formed from repetition, the actions, thoughts, and behaviors that we consistently display over time. These patterns create a roadmap not only for our past, but also for our future, providing valuable insights into who we are, how we respond, and what we are willing to accept. Patterns reveal how we cope with challenges, how we handle success, and how we treat ourselves when we believe no one is watching. If you constantly settle for less than you deserve, if you allow others to walk all over you, or if you continue to put your dreams on the back burner for the sake of comfort, you are creating a pattern that will dictate your future. These patterns are like a language, and if you take the time to decode them, you'll realize that they are trying to tell you something critical. They are pointing out areas in your life where change is needed. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards personal growth. The next step is to acknowledge that you have the power to change them. If the pattern involves staying in situations that no longer serve you, it's time to make the difficult decision to step away. If your pattern involves self-sabotage, it's time to dig deeper, confront your fears, and make a commitment to a healthier, more empowering way of thinking. Patterns only have power over you if you continue to feed them with inaction or resistance. The moment you recognize them, you can begin the process of breaking free from their grip. The key is awareness and intentionality. You cannot break a pattern if you do not first acknowledge it. You cannot change what you do not understand. And once you start breaking the cycle, it's crucial to replace old patterns with new ones that reflect your growth, values, and aspirations. Recognize the habits that are holding you back and choose to take the steps necessary to shift them. The power to change is within you, and with each conscious decision, you are creating a new pattern of success, fulfillment, and self-love. You are not bound by your past patterns. You are empowered to create a future that is defined by the choices you make today. Healing requires boundaries. The process of healing, whether it's from emotional pain, physical exhaustion, betrayal, or any form of trauma, is not something that happens overnight, nor is it something that can be achieved without a conscious effort to protect yourself. One of the most critical elements of healing is setting and maintaining boundaries. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out, but rather they are safeguards for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. They are the protective measures that allow you to reclaim your energy, preserve your peace, and regain a sense of control over your life. When you are in the midst of healing, the world can feel overwhelming. The pressure of other people's expectations, the weight of past experiences, and the demands of daily life can pull you in every direction. Without boundaries, you risk becoming consumed by the very things you're trying to heal from. Boundaries create space for you to focus on your needs, to prioritize self-care, and to build a foundation of strength from within. They allow you to take back control of your time, your thoughts, and your emotional landscape, giving you the ability to heal on your terms, not on someone else's. Setting boundaries requires a deep level of self-awareness and self-respect. It requires you to be honest with yourself about what you need and what you are no longer willing to tolerate. It may involve saying no to things that drain you, to people who cause you stress, or to situations that keep you stuck in the past. This may be difficult, especially if you've been taught to put others' needs ahead of your own, but it is crucial for your healing process. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot heal if you're constantly putting yourself in positions where you are being taken advantage of, dismissed, or disrespected. Your healing requires space to breathe, time to reflect, and the freedom to feel safe in your own emotions. Boundaries also help to protect you from the negative influence of others. Sometimes healing requires distance from people who do not have your best interests at heart, who continue to repeat behaviors that hurt you, or who refuse to respect your growth and your need for peace. While it's not easy to distance yourself from those you care about, especially if they've been a part of your life for a long time, protecting your healing journey is far more important. You are not obligated to maintain relationships that hinder your growth, whether they are family, friends, or romantic partners. True healing can only take place when you surround yourself with people who uplift you, who respect your journey, and who support your boundaries. One of the most profound aspects of healing through boundaries is learning to say no without guilt. For many people, especially those who are used to putting others first, saying no can feel like an act of selfishness. But in reality, it is a powerful act of self-love and self-preservation. By setting boundaries, you are sending a message to yourself that your well-being matters. You are valuing your time, your energy, and your emotional health enough to prioritize them above everything else. Saying no may be uncomfortable at first, but it is an essential part of healing. It allows you to say yes to what truly serves you, what nurtures your soul, supports your growth, and helps you heal. Boundaries also teach others how to treat you. When you consistently uphold your boundaries, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated, and you teach others to respect your limits. It's a way of saying, this is who I am and this is what I need. It's an invitation for others to be a part of your life, but only if they are willing to meet you at a level of respect and understanding. The boundaries you set are not just for your own protection, they are also a way of communicating to the world that you deserve to be treated with kindness, consideration, and care. Ultimately, healing is an ongoing process. There will be times when the wounds feel fresh, when the pain is raw, and when you question if you'll ever feel whole again. But as you continue to establish and maintain your boundaries, you begin to heal more deeply. You start to build a life that is based on your own values, your own needs, and your own peace. You create an environment where healing can flourish, a place where you are the priority, where your voice is heard, and where your voice is heard, and where your heart is protected. It is only through these boundaries that you will truly be able to heal, grow, and reclaim your power. Remember, healing is not a destination, it's a journey, and boundaries are the map that guides you toward a future of strength, peace, and self-love.